2016 marks the 21st anniversary of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. The foundation says it's time to reflect on their new role and responsibility in ensuring that children remain the nation's greatest treasure and that the rights of children remain at the forefront of the country's agenda. 2.5 million children go hungry in South Africa each year, which has far-reaching and long-term consequences. 2 million children in South Africa live in backyard dwellings and informal settlements. The risk of sexual abuse and communicable diseases are on the increase. Now, these are some of the findings of the Deloitte report titled "The State of the South African Child," released and presented here at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Here are more startling statistics. Children in informal and traditional housing face dual challenges of a lack of access to services and the consequence of overcrowding. 5 million children still use unventilated pit latrines, buckets or open land. 85% of children in traditional housing do not have clean water nearby.
I would change the spatial living. I would ensure that everyone has got a proper house, whatever, even if it's not a house, proper spaces for accommodation, where all the basic needs are served. Electricity, water and sanitation being key. Water and sanitation being absolutely key. So if you say there is nothing, we don't have money, it's one thing we would deliver. So water and sanitation and safety for every child.
The issue of kids on the street is a complicated issue. Given the large income gaps in the country, more and more children end up on the streets.
It's going to always be very difficult to deal with children in the streets because there are lots of economic and psychological reasons why children are in the streets. If I'm to look at the data we have and we look at the number of children who drop out of school, and we look at the levels of poverty, it's not surprising that you end up with so many children living in the streets. The question is, why do children leave the school system so early? Because if we kept them in the school system, if we provided quality education for every child, the chances are they would stay in school. And I know this because in some areas where we've been confronted with children living in the streets, we have not bothered ourselves so much about the fact that they live in the streets. We have made sure that they go to school, even if they go back to the street. But first they go to school. In a year's time, they change and decide not to live in the street anymore. Because you know what? They have purpose. They silently know what they want to do with their lives. So long as the school system can't hold the children inside the school system longer, we're in crisis.
It's shocking to note how some of the nation's educators are failing children.
It could be corporal punishment, it could be sexual abuse, where teachers are having relationships with children and in some cases impregnate them. That happens a lot, and in terms of what anecdotal, let me put it that way, but we are not getting the information from the Department of Education on the teachers who have been found guilty on those cases. We just hear about it in the papers. Issue of corporal punishment has been banned in schools, but those teachers, we don't get them to come to the register who are still using corporal punishment. So there's a lot of information there that still needs to be dealt with as a sector who are dealing with children, so that we are all on board and we work together, as it was expressed today.
It is hoped that the findings of this report will set in motion a chain of new efforts to change the way everyone in society treats children and the youth. Nashina Mohammed for Joburg Today.